about Pusha T.
People don't like people, yeah, see? There we go. And then look what happens. But I'm ready for all things, man. Shouts to Pusha, shouts to that guy, shouts to the clips. You know what I mean? Congratulations.
Do you like the new song?
No, but you know.
You don't like Ace Trumpets?
Oh, what's so great about it?
It's so good.
It's good.
It's so, oh man.
It's good.
So yeah, there's something going on that you ain't telling us about, bro.
It's good and what? A nostalgic value of it.
You don't think Ace Trumpets is hard?
I don't believe them. But that's a whole nother story. I don't want to downplay nobody's craft.
No, you're not in my top 50. You might be in Charlemagne's top 50 and things like that.
What's the top 50?
You haven't done that much for me in my life. Like I didn't never want to be like Pusha. I never had a Pusha moment in my life. I already told you. I used to want to dress like Nas because he had a lot of fresh clothes that the hustlers used to wear and shit. And we used to see him on TV. He had one of the illest albums of all time. And then in high school when he had the barbecue and shit like that. So I'm a real fan of Nas, but he kind of lost me after the movie Belly and shit like that.
One reckless soundbite can rattle a culture built on lyrics, legacy, and long memories. When Harlem veteran Jim Jones cracked the mic in early 2024 and blurted that Queens icon Nas was never really that impactful, he thought he was stirring debate. Then he tossed in that Pusha T was overrated, smirked, and waited for the clicks. Within hours, the quote ricocheted through barbershops, podcasts, and timelines. Within days, it snowballed into the most lopsided clash hip-hop has witnessed in years. Stretching from cracked-sidewalk block parties in Uptown all the way to the marble catwalks of Paris Fashion Week and the construction blueprints of a $5 billion resort in Queens. This is not a simple rap beef. It is the slow, public unthreading of a career, the collision of ego with receipts, the moment clout chasing crashed into decades of groundwork laid by two artists who didn't need to raise their voices to bury the noise. Stick around, because the quietest chess move at the end may be hip-hop's coldest revenge yet. Picture an ordinary afternoon taping of the Joe and Jada podcast. Laughter, light roasting, industry gossip. It's a place artists treat like a barbershop sofa, not a courtroom. Mid-chat, the hosts lob a routine list question. Who sits in your personal top 50? Jim leans back, shrugs, and drops it. Nas? He's not in my top 50. Kids today barely know him. No hesitation, no nuance, just an eraser swipe across one of hip-hop's founding frescoes. Cameras kept rolling, crew kept smiling, but the words had already slipped beyond the studio walls.
What I did for Nas probably never been done for him in his life. He's never been that viral at all, ever. Ever. He's never been talked about like this ever in his life.
Now, has Nas reached out to you?
You did. The last time he was in some shit like this where people were comparing was when him and Jay was beating on him. You heard? You did? Like, and I don't want to talk about other people's career, but let's just get to the semantics of it.
Since the whole Nas? Okay.
Huh? I don't know Nas to have a conversation with him. You don't have a conversation, we can have that too and shit like that. You dig? Like, I don't really care.
For a split second, it looked like ordinary opinion. Then context landed. Illmatic is archived in the Library of Congress, studied in college musicology courses. Nas just grabbed a Grammy in 2021 for King's Disease. He's charted 3 albums in 5 years, while Jim's biggest placement remains a 2006 ringtone anthem. In other words, Jim wasn't punching sideways, he was swinging at Mount Rushmore with his selfie stick. By nightfall, the clip bounced from Twitter to TikTok to Reddit. Hashtag threads flared. Hashtag Jim against history. Hashtag Illmatic versus Icy. Memes rolled in. Teens holding vinyls under Kids Today captions, Dipset fans burying their pink furs. The moment felt funny, but beneath the jokes a few hissed, because attacking a legend's influence isn't banter, it's blasphemy. Yet for Jim, backlash looked like free promo. Instead of a tempered clarification, he opened the throttle. But the blowtorching had barely begun. Hip-hop may trade in braggadocio, but it archives stats like baseball. As sunrise hit, armchair analysts compiled side-by-side scorecards. Nas, 15 studio projects, multi-platinum plaques on 4 separate decades, a venture portfolio worth 9 figures, critical acclaim from the source to Harvard. Jim Jones, 1 national smash, We Fly High, respectable Dipset mixtape history, modest chart bumps since 2010. Every thread hammered the same point. Calling Nas culturally insignificant was like calling Harlem a sleepy village. Rap Twitter turned carnivorous. Reaction videos popped up by the hour, YouTubers recycling the quote, pausing, throwing hands in disbelief, then rattling off Nas verses like scriptures. Professors posted lecture slides. Even veteran DJs who once championed Dipset pivoted, tweeting, "Love Jimmy, but this ain't it." Jim's phone lit with notifications. Each mention meant algorithm boost. Ego translated the storm as interest, so he answered it with more wind instead of humility. The result? A digital dogpile that somehow felt like it was still revving up. 7 nights later on Nightcap with Shannon Sharp, the hosts expected a mellow clarifier. What they got was gasoline. Jim, sporting aviators indoors, announced, "I'm way more influential than NAS, ask Uptown." Sharp cocked an eyebrow. The live chat exploded in laughing emojis and disbelief. Jim pressed on, claiming his viral clip did more for NAS than NAS's entire modern run. I put him back in the conversation. He's never trended like this, ever. The arrogance rang louder than any horn section. Clip after clip of the interview spliced across TikTok, side-by-sides of Jim boasting and NAS quietly performing sold-out shows. Even fans sympathetic to Dipset heritage admitted the claim smelled of insecurity, not insight. Barely a week passed before Jim sat at Bag Fuel podcast, sipping out of a red cup, re-upping the narrative. What I did for NAS probably never been done for him in his life. He said it with the conviction of a courtroom closer, seemingly blind to the comment feed scrolling. Bro, you're drawing cartoons on the Mona Lisa. By now critics identified the pattern. Louder claims, leaner evidence. But hip-hop loves conflict, and another giant was listening in silence. June 18, 2024. Pontneuf Bridge glows under Paris twilight as Louis Vuitton unveils Pharrell Williams' inaugural menswear line. Front row seats are A-list: Beyoncé, Jay-Z, Rihanna, LeBron. Cameras lock on embroidered trunks and diamond-dusted varsity jackets until the soundtrack flips. Drums crack. A snarling voice slides over the system. Chase in a feature out of your element. Watch how the runway becomes your evidence. The artists? Clips, Pusha T and his brother No Malice, performing an unreleased banger titled Chains and Whips. The line is surgical. Jim had just accepted an honorary Dipset shoutout from Drake, the same Drake Pusha dismantled with the story of Adidon. In seconds, Paris couture morphs into a battlefield. Phones shoot shaky footage of Beyoncé grinning, Jay nodding, Pharrell half smiling at his own genius move. No Twitter spat, no podcast retort, just a multi-million-dollar runway weaponized to mark crosshairs. Fashion writers praised the collection. Rap nerds knew they'd witnessed a drive-by in slow motion. Jim, hundreds of miles away, answered with a freestyle over the same beat, rapping from a dim Harlem alley. Critics called it the musical equivalent of replying to a Gucci invitation with a bootleg t-shirt. Meanwhile, Pusha dropped the mic, buttoned his LV leather, and walked off into the Seine air, message delivered. But as Paris gasped, Queens plotted. While social media dissected runway bars, NAS was in conference rooms finalizing paperwork on Resorts World Queens, a $5.5 billion casino retail hotel mega project slated to rise near JFK. The promo reel dropped with almost no warning, sweeping drone shots over Jamaica Bay, CGI towers freckled with LED marquees, a calm NAS voiceover. The future isn't something you wait for. It lives in the hands of doers. No petty shot, no name drop, just empire talk. Business columnists highlighted job projections, 5,000 union positions, scholarship endowments, profit sharing with local nonprofits. Fans peeped an indirect message. While one rapper chased headlines, the other built infrastructure that would outlive verses. Comment sections filled with micro-essays. This is how you flex influence, make moves that feed neighborhoods. Suddenly, Jim's claims of viral relevance seemed microscopic. The scoreboard had shifted from streams to steel girders, from decibels to dividends. And the culture watched the contrast in real time. Hot 97 Summer Jam is rap's annual crucible, a stage that grants immortality or exposes frauds. Jim walked into MetLife Stadium draped in Dipset camo, adrenaline spiking. He expected 80,000 to echo "Ballin'" like 2006. Instead, the crowd offered polite enthusiasm at best, muffled chatter at worst. Mid-set, he tried to rally energy. "Y'all still with me?" The scattered cheers sounded like a half-filled rec center. Then came the moment. Legendary DJ Funkmaster Flex, once a Dipset ally, sliced the instrumental and threw on a commercial sting. Stage lights dimmed. Jim's face froze between confusion and fury. Backstage footage leaked later. Jones questioning Flex, voice raised, Flex shrugging, palms up. Speculation boiled. Was it schedule timing, technical glitch, or silent statement? Radio insiders hinted that Flex had tired of the drama overshadowing the catalog. Regardless, the optics screamed louder than any rumor. Harlem's capo couldn't command the stadium he once tore down. Clips of the cutoff tallied millions of views. For fans, it signaled an invisible verdict. If New York's home crowd won't chant, the momentum is gone. Summer rolled into 2025. Clips resurfaced online with a cover depicting Roman marble soldiers blowing gilded horns, single title Ace trumpets. Produced by Pharrell, laced with grainy coke wrap horns, the track sent critics into rapture. Within 24 hours, it topped Apple Music's rap chart. Jim, invited onto Bootleg Kev's show, offered a smirk. Do I like the song? No. I don't even believe him. He tried to sound unfazed, but body language analysts on TikTok slowed the clip. Twitching lip, fidgeting chain, diverting eye contact, classic defensive tells, they insisted. Fans piled on. You can't salute good music because pride blocks your ears. A week later, Pusha announced the clip's reunion album, Let God Sort 'Em Out, dropping July 11, 2025. Industry insiders whispered about surgical strikes aimed at Jim across 3 separate tracks. Pharrell teased beats by the same studio stories. Kendrick Lamar posted cryptic sword emojis, fueling rumors of a feature verse ready to carve casualties. The hype cycle threatened to drown any rebuttal Jim might muster. By spring 2025, analytics told an unforgiving tale. Jim's monthly Spotify listeners dipped below 1 million for the first time in 8 years. TikTok videos using We Fly High audio shrank from 10,000 weekly uploads to under 900. Dipset merch stores slashed prices, unsold stock stacking in clearance bins. Meanwhile, Nas's venture made the business pages of Forbes and Bloomberg, and Clips's 15-second teaser racked up 10 million plays before YouTube tallied them. The culture at large seemed to hit the mute button on Jim, not out of coordinated cancellation, but out of apathy. When the loudest person in the room stops being entertaining, conversation moves elsewhere. A viral tweet captured the fatigue. Jimmy talked himself into a spotlight, but legends own the power grid. It wasn't disdain, it was disinterest, the far colder punishment. Hip-hop is a revolving door of bravado, but receipts rule the hallway. In chasing a quick viral spark, Jim Jones overlooked the first commandment of the culture: respect the architects. Nas didn't have to pen a diss, he signed deeds. Pusha didn't need 50 tweets, he hijacked the world's most prestigious runway. While Jim measured impact in impressions, his opponents measured it in longevity, equity, and strategic silence. So what's the moral? In an age where every phone equals a microphone, volume alone can't substitute for value. You can game the algorithm for a season, but history is a marathon run by those who build, refine, and outlast. July 11th, 2025, the day Let God Sort 'Em Out arrives, may stamp the final exhibit in this saga. Or maybe the culture has already ruled, delivering its harshest judgment: indifference. When the dust settles, one truth remains: the internet forgets hot takes, but it never forgets receipts. And that, more than any freestyle flameout, is the real cautionary tale of Jim Jones versus Nas and Pusha T.